Welcome children. This is a class on English of class 9 and here we have the lesson My Childhood by APJ Abdul Kalam. Now the name of APJ Abdul Kalam needs no introduction. The whole world is aware of who he was. In India, he has been known as the Missile Man, and it was his projects in science and defense that pushed India into the 21st century. And APJ Abdul Kalam went on to become the 11th President of India in 2002. Now, despite being a president, he led a very simple life, and his simplicity is known throughout the world. Now, this lesson is based on an excerpt taken from his autobiography, Wings of Fire. Now, children, when you open your books, you will see that the chapter is divided into different parts. The paragraphs are divided into different numbers, and in the first paragraph he describes his family, where he was born. APJ Abdul Kalam was born into a middle-class Tamil family, and his father's name was Jainullabdin and his mother's name was Ashiamma. Now Jainullabdin, his father, was a very simple man. He may not have been too much an educated person, but whatever qualities and ideals he possessed was strong enough to make Abdul Kalam into what he had become in the future. And Ashiamma, his mother, was an ideal helpmate for his father. His mother possessed a very charitable heart, and in their childhood he could never recollect how many people would come to have lunch at their home, because more than their family members, it was the outsiders who came to dine at their house more. And paragraph 2 describes himself. Abdul Kalam, he describes himself, his physical features, that he was a short with rather undistinguished looks, because he compares himself with his father and mother. Both of them were quite handsomely built as compared to him, and they lived at a pakka house that was built in the middle of the 19th century at the Mosque Street of Rameshwaram. Now, his father led an austere life. Now, austerity did not mean that their family was deprived of any essential things. Unnecessary things were avoided, but whatever was needed, the comforts and the necessity, everything was provided for. So their childhood, Abdul Kalam's childhood, was emotionally very strong. The third paragraph describes Abdul Kalam as to his curiosity why there was a demand of tamarind seeds during the outbreak of the Second World War in 1939. At that time, in 1939, Abdul Kalam was only 8 years old, and he too was excited to collect the tamarind seeds, and he used to sell it at a provision shop, and he used to get just an anna for it. An anna, children, was a unit of money during the olden days. And he used to be very happy and contented with whatever he earned. And one important factor was that right from his childhood he had a sense of curiosity. And Jainullabdin, another important name to be noted, Jainuddin, his brother-in-law, was the one who used to narrate stories about the Second World War to Abdul Kalam. And there was a very famous paper published during that time, that was Dinamani, and Abdul Kalam tried to get the details of the World War from this paper called Dinamani. At the time, Rameshwaram state, the hometown of Abdul Kalam, was unaffected by the World War. But soon when India was forced to join the Allied forces, a kind of emergency was declared in the whole of India, and the Rameshwaram state also was under it. As a result, the train services were stopped. No trains could be stopped at the Rameshwaram train station. So it was difficult for the newspaper hawkers to get the newspapers. Now here is an important factor with the name Samsuddin. Now Samsuddin was Abdul Kalam's cousin. He had the newspaper business. He needed someone to collect the newspapers as it was to be thrown from the trains. And Abdul Kalam just fit in the picture, and every morning he used to run to the station and they used to collect the newspapers that way. Now this made Abdul Kalam earn his first wages, and even after he became the president, he recollects the moment when he earned his first wages and he felt a sense of pride. Now in paragraph 4, he describes that every child, in whatever family he is born into, he is molded and guided by the socio-economic and the emotion and the entire emotional environment. And interestingly, he says he inculcated or he inherited the qualities of honesty, the qualities of self-discipline from his father. And from his mother, he inherited a sense of goodness and deep kindness, which made him into a remarkable human being. Now, he had 3 friends in his childhood, and they all belonged to an orthodox Hindu Brahmin family. One was Ramanatha Sastri, next one was Srivas Prakashan, and the third one was Aravindan. Now these 3 belonged to orthodox Brahmin families, and they never considered themselves as high class, or India at the time was under the class distinction. There was a very strict caste division practiced during those days. But these 3 friends and Abdul Kalam Azad never felt any differences of their caste. Ramanatha Sastri was the son of Pakshi Lakshmana Sastri, who was the high priest of the Rameshwaram temple. But all his 3 friends were taught to practice equality, and they considered themselves to be equal with the entire other people of their home. Now, during the Hindu festival of Sri Sita Rama Kalyanam ceremony, Abdul Kalam's family used to arrange special boats to carry idols of the Lord from the temple to the marriage site that was situated in the middle of the pond called Rama Tirtha. Now, even though Abdul Kalam was from a Muslim background, but they also never felt any differences in their caste and their religion. So they used to live in harmony, and they used to arrange boats for their Hindu friends. And it has to be noted that Abdul Kalam's, in his childhood, in their family, their favorite story time the bedtime stories were the stories from the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, and the lives of the Prophet. And these stories were told by their grandmother. Now, an incident happened when Abdul Kalam was in the 5th standard. Now, as you all are aware that a Muslim boy, they used to wear a skull cap. So, Abdul Kalam also used to wear a skull cap and he used to go to the school. And Ramanatha Shastri, Shiva Prakashan and Aravindan, they used to wear a thread, the sacred thread around their upper body. Now this distinguished their caste. And when they were in the 5th standard, a new teacher happened to come and teach them. And when this teacher saw Abdul Kalam sitting in the first row with the Brahmin boys, he could not digest. He immediately ordered Abdul Kalam to go and shift in the last bench. Abdul Kalam felt very sad. And as he got up, he saw that his friend Ramanatha Shastri was crying. Everyone was disturbed. And after they went home, they related the incident to their parents. This made Ramanatha Shastri's father, Lakshmana Shastri, very angry. In paragraph 7, you will see that Lakshmana Shastri summoned the teacher. He said that either you apologize to Abdul Kalam for what you have done, bringing about teaching intolerance amongst the children, which we don't practice here amongst us, and you, being a teacher, coming and practicing intolerance will not be tolerated. So either he has to apologize or he has to leave the island town. Now this surprised and changed the new teacher. He apologized and he changed himself. He realized his mistake and he changed himself. And in paragraph 8, you will find that since Rameshwaram was a very small society, it was very rigid in terms of the customs and traditions that was divided into the social groups. He had a science teacher, another very orthodox Hindu Brahmin teacher, science teacher, named Shiva Subramania Iyer. Now Shiva Subramania Iyer, even though he was an orthodox Brahmin, he never followed the rigidity of his caste. He always encouraged Abdul Kalam to go ahead in life, go for higher studies, and he encouraged Abdul Kalam. And not only that, he used to invite Abdul Kalam to his house, and there was an instance when he was invited for a meal, and his wife, Shiva Prakashan's wife, was horrified at the idea that the Muslim boy was coming to her ritually pure kitchen. She was aghast. She could not tolerate how could her husband invite a Muslim boy to have food in their Brahmin kitchen. Now, to everyone's surprise, Shiva Subramania Iyer, the science teacher, did not react. He did not react to his wife. He served food with his own hands to Abdul Kalam, and they sat together and ate. And the wife was watching them from outside the door. And Abdul Kalam realized that his teacher's wife was unhappy. So when Shiva Subramania Iyer invites Abdul Kalam second time, Abdul Kalam declined. He said that if the society has to change, we have to face the challenge. So Abdul Kalam goes the second time, and a change in the meantime had come over his wife, and his wife had served food the second time for him now when he visits him. Now, after the ending of the Second World War, the whole of India was busy in freedom, and Gandhiji was spreading an unprecedented optimism amongst the Indians. And here Abdul Kalam realized that he has to go for higher studies. He has to leave Rameshwaram and go to the district headquarters at Ramanathapuram. So he told his desire to his father that he wanted to visit Ramanatha. He wanted to go to Ramanathapuram for his higher studies, and his father encouraged him. But his mother was sad. But here the father, in paragraph 11, quotes the famous writer's words, Khalil Gibran. He says that your children are not your own. Yeah, Abdul Kalam might have been born out of his mother, but his thoughts are his thoughts. A mother cannot give her thoughts to her child. Yes, the children belongs to the mother, but the thoughts are his own. He also talks about the seagull, the bird that flies out of the nest. When it's time for him, he moves out. He flies, he moves and he flies round the sun till he builds his own nest. So Abdul Kalam towards the end says, you may give your children your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. So this is a lesson, children, that teaches us to have a sense of equality, that religious intolerance should not be practiced. We should all have a sense of equality as told by Abdul Kalam. And even though they belonged to the Muslim community and his friends were from Orthodox Brahmin families, they never had any kinds of ill feelings amongst themselves. So I hope you all have understood, children. This is the end for today, and our next lesson will be giving you in part 2.